Welcome back, wrestling fans, to the Mount Rushmore Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 49. We are back for our SummerSlam review show. It was a hell of a pay-per-view, a hell of a weekend. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this Monday evening before Raw?
Feeling very good. We just had a huge weekend of wrestling here. It was SummerSlam weekend, always one of the biggest weekends besides WrestleMania. So there's a lot to go over. I thought it was a great card, possibly one of the best SummerSlams ever. And I'm out here sporting my Becky shirt. Got to represent someone who was left off SummerSlam who was not too happy with that. So, you know, cheers.
Representing for the fallen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't like to be a prisoner of like recency bias, but I can say clearly, based on my lifetime and what I've seen, this is the best SummerSlam I've seen ever. Yeah, looking forward to Raw, what's in store tonight, and what new feuds are going to develop along the line, because we got Payback will probably be the next pay-per-view up, and then we got Fastlane. So next couple pay-per-views, it's going to be really interesting to see what they got in store for the champions.
Just to add to this opening monologue, I think it's tough to not be a prisoner of the moment when we're in such a booming era of wrestling. What I will say, though, is the other day when we were watching the pay-per-view, we went through past SummerSlams to see what matches there are. And yes, some of the SummerSlams that were really good in the past had some great matches. But on those SummerSlam cards, there were maybe 2 or 3 like really good matches. The rest of the card was fucking shit. So, what I like SummerSlam 02, maybe that had like 4 or 5 good matches. But some of those matches were like less than 10 minutes. It was very not comparable to this card. And we are going to jump into it, but there was a lot of hate over the weekend for a lot of different things that we'll talk about this card. I'm not sure if it deserved as much of the hate that it got. Granted, there are some things that I will say that were challenging at times, but hey, we take the good with the bad. And you have the on this day today as well.
Yes. All right. So on this day, we're recording August 7th. Back to 2001, it was an episode of SmackDown taping. DDP and Canyon became the first WCW tag team to hold the WWF Tag Team Championships when they defeated the APA. And later that night, Kane and The Undertaker became the first WCW Tag Team Champions to defeat. Hold on one second, let me refresh that. Sorry, computer lost. There we go. To win the WCW tag titles when they defeated Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo. So those are the two main key factors that happened that week. Chuck Palumbo.
FBI, full-blooded Italian right there.
Full-blooded Italians.
Full-blooded Italians.
We haven't had good on this days recently. I don't know what's been going on with some of these dates. They've been really bad. Last week was bad too. Moving on, we'll go to this. Some breaking news that we have literally in the past hour is not some good news, unfortunately. The WWE Women's Tag Team, a part of the tag team, is injured again. Seemingly, whoever gets these championships are getting injured somehow. So the rumor right now is, and it seems to be confirmed, that Sonya Deville has a torn ACL. They said they're going to address it on Monday Night Raw tonight to see what happens. I don't know if they're going to vacate the titles. I don't know if Chelsea's going to get a new partner. I feel bad for both Sonya for being hurt and for Chelsea Green, because I think they were both going to have a decent run here with the tag titles. Not saying much because the titles aren't great, but I think they were going to have a good run because I think they really love Chelsea Green's character. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? I think it's very interesting to see what they do. Maybe they'll put someone else with her, but wow, it's seemingly whoever gets these titles, guys, it doesn't work out well for them.
That injury bug is really hitting WWE hard right now, and at this point, just scrap those tag titles in the women's division and get a mid-card women's title going. I think they have enough women that they could get a mid-card women's title, whatever it may be. Maybe like showcase a lot of the people in those tag teams in singles action. That's my solution. That's what I would do. I know they're not going to. They're just going to find another filler team to carry those titles for no reason, unfortunately, because that's what they always do.
Yep.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, I think they should just add like a mid-card title for the women's and just get rid of those WWE tag titles because it's just so irrelevant. I can't remember I mean, even back to Sasha and Naomi, even them, they weren't even treated with respect with those titles. So I can't even remember the last time that those titles actually meant anything. You'd have to go back to like maybe the Iconics, and even then they were not even a good tag team. So
Right.
it's just bad luck with those titles. An unfortunate situation with Sonya. Hopefully she has a speedy recovery because that is not a good injury to have.
Right. Maybe call up some NXT people again.
Probably.
I
And
mean,
just not use them.
They have Caden Carter and Katana Chance, who are. I don't know.
Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, they're nowhere to be found ever since they lost their in catering.
Yeah,
Right.
Isla Dawn hasn't been shown on TV. Thanks to Michael Cole. Tonight's also the first night Michael Cole and Wade Barrett will be on commentary tonight for Monday Night Raw. So maybe that'll bring some spice to the show.
Maybe an actual good crowd instead of Detroit's shit show of an audience.
The real reason, I guess, for the change in commentary booths was that's what Endeavor wants, was Michael Cole kind of in charge of everything, but also the face of everything. So, hey, maybe they realize Kevin Patrick sucks on commentary, and maybe next they'll look at NXT because Booker T needs to get off that fucking show. And he was on the pre-show. He makes everything unbearable. I will continue to say this.
I was dying.
Yeah, I will continue to say it. Booker T is the worst thing for any commentary booth I have ever seen. He is worse than Kevin Patrick. He's worse than anyone I've ever seen on commentary. Give me back Byron Saxton, JBL, any of those fucking people I'd take over him.
Give me Michael Cole and Morrow calling a Mania.
Oh, that'd be great. That would be
have
fantastic.
Morrow's and then put JBL on the side and put Morrow right in the middle of them and see how well JBL and Morrow get along.
That won't be good, but yeah. So looking forward to Raw for that reason, for Michael Cole on commentary again for Raw.
Yep.
Brock Lesnar. So we will get into specific matches, but he is actually announced for Payback. So it seems like he's still sticking around, which, you know, I've said I want to give Brock a ton of credit, and I'll give him more credit when we talk about his match. But, you know, maybe he'll be off for a couple weeks, but I'm very impressed that he's also sticking around for almost every pay-per-view this year.
I mean, when the money,
almost every pay-per-view.
When the money's floating your way, it's hard to say no.
Well, look at the world champ. He's not going to be on a pay-per-view for 3 fucking months.
Are we surprised though?
Realistically, Brock seems like he's having a lot of fun, like the most fun that he's had in his career in a long time.
Yeah,
clearly a big fan of Cody, as we saw last night.
And
at Payback, I'd take him and Gunther.
Yeah,
even though Brock would take another loss again.
Yeah, maybe you have to beat someone. I'm not sure, but
I would have Brock in a feud where he gets a victory. Mix it up. I don't want to have him take loss after loss.
Yeah. Who knows? The other thing with WWE right now, we mentioned this actually right before we got on, but a lot of talent frustration going on in the locker room. You know, for something that is so hot right now, there's also there's not turmoil, but I think we talked about this when we were live in person, but everyone is going to want a spot on every card, right? It's just how it works and how the wrestling industry works. There's a lot of ego. There's also a lot of want to just show your product to, that's a big spot. SummerSlam's a big spot to be on the card. And no offense to Raw and, a regular Raw show or regular SmackDown show. Yes, there's maybe 3 million people watching, whatever. 50,000 people are in the arena for SummerSlam, right? So it's a lot different than having a 15,000 crowd. Sheamus was one of those people this past week and this past weekend that was talking a lot about the Bloodline story specifically getting a lot of airtime, which is 100% correct. They get most of the airtime. And you can say the same for Judgment Day right now for how much airtime they're getting. But not everyone is giving the opportunity to actually explore their story, which he's not wrong, because there's only so much time. So if you only have so much time and you're really trying to tell a bunch of story, you're trying to fit as many people on as you can. They still have people that haven't barely been on the shows. It's a tough thing to juggle, is what I'll say. Does it mean they need to move SmackDown to 3 hours? I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I would take that person. I'd be fine with it. But I also think 2 hours is a pretty good sweet spot. You get just enough to keep you coming back. It's not necessarily quantity over. You need to just have quality. So I I will agree, and I'll talk about this when we get to that match. But some of these matches were too long. Specifically, the main event for SummerSlam was too long. So if you erase some of that time and you give it to someone else in a match, I'd understand. But Sheamus wasn't the only person, as Chris is representing Becky Lynch, had a lot to say for being left off the SummerSlam card. And granted, mind you, you could potentially portray Becky as probably the number one, babyface in the entire company, and she's been that way for a few years, I would say. Being left off the card, I think, was a huge, huge blow for her. And Rhea Ripley seemingly hasn't been on a friggin' PLE since she's won the fucking women's title. Those are two big people to leave off the card. And Trish, Trish is a veteran and an old school person that deserves some time as well. So it's been interesting, but you've heard a lot from these folks about a lot of time. The other person, Kevin Owens, talking about how the tag team titles have not seemingly been backseated, but kind of, in a way, been backseated by everything else. And it seemingly, I think in his words, basically said, they don't really mean as much as they did pre-WrestleMania. Like when they were going after them, it meant so much more, which I think is very telling for what the time is. And, there's only so much time. I'm interested to see what the reaction is in terms of their creative vision to this issue. Because if you get too many people upset, the product will not be as good, I think. Not to say it's going to drive people away, but I think if you have a locker room that's very frustrated, there's going to be a time where they all hit their breaking point, right? So, if you have to cut a segment here or two by 10 minutes or a match by 10 minutes and, give some room for other folks, you may want to start to do that just here or there, because throwing people a bone here or there will keep them, in a positive attitude. Thoughts on that, guys?
I it was only a matter of time before I think that people started to voice these opinions, because for a few months now, last month, the month before that, as a fan, I was saying, where is Austin Theory on a PLE? Where's Rhea Ripley? Where's Asuka? These people are holding championships and not defending them consistently on pay-per-views monthly. And those are like people who should be highlighted on pay-per-views. Now, while I agree with Sheamus when he said that they didn't capitalize on him after the match at Clash at the Castle with how over he was, at the same time, it's like you said, there's only so much TV time weekly on WWE television, and they're gonna spend most of the time on those big feuds that are getting the most views, which right now is the Bloodline and probably the Judgment Day. And things are gonna have to get cut. Not everybody's always gonna be happy. And Sheamus had a fantastic year in 2022. His career, I think, was really revitalized, getting with the Brawling Brutes and then feuding with Gunther and Drew McIntyre and going into WrestleMania this year. So he had a great, I would say, year, or maybe more than that. And now maybe things are starting to slow down for him a little bit. He doesn't have big feuds right now, and maybe that's making him upset. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you were just on a hot streak for a year.
Mm-hmm.
What are you really complaining about right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's always times for people where there's not much for them, and it's just going to take time to build back up after you take some losses. Now with Becky, I don't think Becky should ever be left off of a pay-per-view, especially feuding with someone like Trish Stratus. I think that's a match that should be on a pay-per-view. I mean, Trish is one of the biggest legends in WWE history as far as women, and Becky might be the best, or one of the best, or top 3 at least, women ever as well. So how are you leaving a feud like that off of a SummerSlam specifically when they have been building this feud for this moment right here, another match between the two? So I definitely understand why she would be upset. But I mean, you just can't make everybody happy. It's a job at the end
Also
of the
true.
day. It's work. There's going to be times where people are unhappy in the business. Now, I think Triple H will do a good job controlling that. I don't think it's going to be something like AEW where, they run the place, the superstars run that place. I think Triple H and the rest of their creative team will be able to control that and, give these top stars not necessarily what they want, but I think the company needs to understand that people like Becky Lynch and Sheamus and stuff like that, they are needed to be in good feuds at the same time. And like you said, Kevin Owens, I mean, those tag titles have been basically nothing since they won them, which is very unfortunate. So I think it's a very tough situation, but at the end of the day, it's a job. You're not always going to be happy at your job.
Yeah, for Sheamus's aspect of it, I can see the frustration because he's on the show where it's 2 hours compared to Raw that's 3 hours. So I think if he was on Raw, he wouldn't really have that stance because you would be able to plug in all those extra people that are like unhappy and dissatisfied and squeeze them on for the TV time. But SmackDown's only 2 hours. You can only fit so much of the talent after Austin Theory, for example. Like they're barely utilizing him on SmackDown. And the bloodline, they have Solo Sikoa and Jay that's usually main event in the SmackDown. You'll have like probably Roman or Jay like open up or maybe halfway through the show involved in some segment of Paul Heyman. And then you have to throw in maybe they'll do a Grayson Waller show type thing that eats up a certain amount of time. And then when it's all said and done, you got like an hour left to basically satisfy the needs of all the other superstars. And realistically, you're just not going to be able to do it. If you want to cut the bloodline segment to 5 minutes, that's the only way you're going to do it. And it's going to do more harm than good because the audience really speaks to Triple H, and Triple H does things for the fans. And the bloodline stories is so huge that they're top priority. And same thing with Judgment Day on the other show. But to his credit, though, I do agree, though, he should have been the one to beat Gunther for the title. So when he's saying things like the Honky Tonk Man's record needs to be protected, I can definitely see that point of view because that guy did bust his ass the whole entire year. And he put on absolute classic after classic. And I think they should have capitalized on that to give him the championship at WrestleMania. But unfortunately, since it went back to Gunther, WWE with their records, you knew that Gunther's going to go cruising along, break that record. When it comes to Rhea Ripley, I'm not surprised she was off this show. And I think it's rightfully so because of the fact that, yes, her title reign has been absolute dog shit since she won the belt. However, who's there for her to feud with? If you throw Raquel Rodriguez in there, she's going to take the loss. She got dominated on the build-up after she, kayfabe injured Liv Morgan, and then Raquel got attacked by her. You don't want to make Raquel look weak, and I think she's going to be a top priority to be an up-and-coming babyface for the women that they're really invested in. So I think leaving her off the card was a good decision. The Becky one, I think she should have been in the card. One, because Becky Lynch, and she's like one of the box office attractions. Two, storyline perspective, I think Becky goes in there. She should have gone over on Trish at SummerSlam. And then this is a perfect scenario for the rubber match. The Canada show is a couple weeks away or something. That's when you do the rubber match. And if that's Trish's last match, have her retirement match, have Becky go over on her in Canada. It could also bring, if they want to push Becky to be heel, that can draw some heat there as well. So leaving her off SummerSlam, I think, was a mistake. And they shouldn't have put Ronda Rousey on there, but I get why they did it because, she announced already that she's leaving the company. So they gave her one last wish to put over her best friend. Even though the match was not good, which we'll get into later, but still, but going back to Sheamus's comments in the Superstars, I just think it's a time constraint because of the fact that SmackDown is just only 2 hours, and they got to add the extra hour, in my opinion.
You're not wrong. You think they need to go to 3 hours?
Yep, both shows keep it both at 3 hours. So I think Raw is good at 3 hours, and then do either SmackDown 8 to 11 or do 7 to 10.
Chris?
I think they both need to be 2. I feel like sometimes Raw, there's just like some filler stuff in there that is just not needed. And like, yeah, maybe those people are going to lose their TV time, but like, I don't know. I feel like 3 hours is very long, and I've always felt that way. I've always felt like once Monday Night Raw went 3 hours, it's just too much. And there's always times where people are tuning out because it's just the viewers, I feel like, lose interest after a certain amount of time, especially when there's some things on TV that we don't necessarily care about. And I wouldn't want them to do that to SmackDown either. I do think the Bloodline does take up a lot of the show, maybe too much of the show sometimes, even though this is probably the greatest feud of all time as far as factions go. So I understand why they do that. But I think once this Bloodline storyline kind of fades, maybe later this year or next year early, I think we're going to notice a lot of different faces on SmackDown and a lot of different people maybe getting that time that they didn't have before.
It might be Bobby Lashley's Hurt Business 2.0 getting a lot of the TV time after, which honestly I would be really excited for, because I think what they're doing with the Street Profits, and say they add Bianca Belair to the mix and Carmelo Hayes, that they got something really good going for them that Triple H can really like get his hands in creatively to see what they do with that. I also think for Judgment Day, I think they're able to get a lot of the TV time in, just going back to it, because the extra hour, they're able to plug them in like 5-6 segments per show, whereas Bloodline can only realistically get away with maybe 3 before you have to like consider the other talent. So that's why I think the extra hour just makes a difference.
Judgment Day also has 4 different personalities who they can kind of like focus on in all these different segments. Like Balor kind of has his thing going with Priest, and Priest kind of has his own thing with Money in the Bank. Dom and Rhea have their own thing going. So yeah, it's one group, but it's like they have so many different things going in that one group, whereas Bloodline is basically all one thing happening that takes up like an hour of SmackDown.
Yeah, I guess I'm in the middle. I wouldn't want to see another hour
I just think it's too much
added to SmackDown. I agree at times Raw is long. There are other times where I think it for those 3 hours because of how much talent is on the show.
Yeah,
it's hard to find that true balance though, because I do think the true balance is 2 hours, but you would be cutting out, I think, too much of the show. I don't know.
it's so
That's a
hard
tough
because
one.
it's so hard because back when it was just 2 hours for both Raw and SmackDown, they had like just enough talent for like 2 hours or maybe a little bit more.
Now they have
But
too much talent.
that's the
Yeah.
thing, they have way too much talent now. Everybody's so much more like gifted wrestling wise than it was back in the day.
Yeah.
That's what makes it difficult, is because they have so much extra talent that
Yeah.
that needs to be showcased that won't if it's 2 hours.
Like if you
But
look,
then sometimes 3 hours we get shit that we don't care about. A
yeah, like if you
3-minute
look
match.
at Ruthless Aggression era, like Raw, for example, you had John Cena, you had Edge, you had Jericho, you had Orton. I'm obviously missing a lot more, but other than that, for the most of Raw, when it was 2 hours, there was a lot that we didn't care about. Usually after the first, the middle,
Basically
and the
women's
main
wrestling.
event, yeah,
Yeah.
basically
All women's
after,
wrestling.
other than the first segment, the middle, and the main event, anything else in between was pretty much unimportant.
Tag team wrestling, like I think when we were kids back then we cared about it. We thought it was cool, but like the tag teams back then weren't as good as the tag teams are now.
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
So,
not
I mean,
wrong.
that just goes to show too.
Lot to think about moving forward as well, and so we will we will do one little news bit for AEW here. All In did pass WrestleMania 3 for attendance over the weekend in terms of ticket sales.
The TK had the biggest boner after that one.
He says, "Oh, they're not doing second place anymore."
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not a
Yo,
secondary
who's the
show.
secondary show now, boys? Give me a break.
Let me tell you what. I'm pretty sure your collision ratings were about 350,000 compared to 800,000 the last week. So almost 500,000 of your viewers were watching SummerSlam over your show. Yeah, I would consider you still the secondary show, my man. And here's the thing. I said this when we were in person watching SummerSlam. All In is going to be great, and I think it'll be great for AEW. They're selling 80,000 seats because they're out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I will put a ton of money on this. If WWE were to say we're going to have 5 shows, 5 premium live events, they would sell out all 5 of those probably within the first week of them tickets going on sale. So you are still the secondary show. The biggest thing is stop comparing yourselves to WWE. You are not on their level to compare yourselves to them. The simple fact is just accept you have a great thing going right now. You have 80,000 tickets sold, or however many. It's a great thing. Stop comparing it to WWE because your production sucks and your promo packages are gone.
Storyline
Here's what I'd like to know.
sucks.
Here's what I'd like to know. Where did all of your pre-show? You now have a 0-hour pre-show when originally a couple of years ago you had promo packages for all your matches for the first half hour of your pre-show. And it made the matches, you know what? There was more story there.
Mm-hmm.
Want to know what you did now? You have two fucking goofs on your pre-show talking about random shit that has nothing to do with anything, chasing people in the parking lot for an interview. Just listen, do your own thing and do it better, whatever you want to do. Everyone needs to stop comparing the two. It's so nauseating.
My favorite is booking All In and having another live event the week after, another pay-per-view All Out, the week apart.
Listen, I've said this many times. I love AEW for what it is, but it is nauseating on Twitter and all the social media that the IWC fucking compares themselves all the time. If you're an AEW fan, you can't be a WWE fan. If you're a WWE fan, you can't be an AEW fan. Let's just fucking like them for what they are. Stop comparing yourselves, all of you, to each other. And Tony is the most... Listen, there's a reason why Triple H probably will never say the words AEW out his fucking mouth. It's because it's fucking below him. The only reason you're doing is because you want to be like them. You are the secondary show. End of story. I'm sorry we get so much AEW hate on this fucking show.
I'm just
it drives
interested.
Me crazy though.
I'm just interested because you like to see their production for this show, like specifically, like what is the stage gonna look like? Is it gonna be any different than what we see for every fuck? Is it gonna be? It's probably gonna be the same thing like it is for every fucking pay-per-view.
Collisions. Listen, what they did for Collision was fucking great.
Collision had a great. They have a good stage too.
You know, they did such a good job in like planning that, and the look of it, it's so much better.
Yep.
But you have a long way to go, my friend, for one show. This is one show we're talking about. WrestleMania every year sells out literally now 70, 80, 90,000 stadiums every single year. You've done this one time.
Like Tony Khan,
WrestleMania that happened 30 years ago.
Like Tony Khan, does he put on great matches like for their pay-per-views? Absolutely. He is an expert at that. The problem is Triple H not only puts on great matches, he puts great stories together. He puts great promo video packages together. He puts great international events together. What location, the superstars that are going to fit into Puerto Rico, for example. They plugged in Bad Bunny with Damian Priest. They put in Damian Priest at the right time to basically get him over.
And you made him a new star.
Yeah, made him a fucking RVD.
Yeah, made him a new star, and then now he's Mr. Money in the Bank, and can be world champion any day now. The way they're doing things, so who knows when that can go. You had Zelina Vega in her hometown. She got a title match, even though she lost to Mommy, but she still got a title match. The thing with TK is focus on your company. Leave WWE out of it because you can't talk. Numbers speak for themselves. WWE has shattered every single record. Triple H can sit back with his feet up and just kick back and just ignore every little thing because the little weasel is just making himself look foolish. I like TK booking pay-per-views, like the match qualities, but you got to develop your story. You need to bring a team around you. You're wearing too many hats, my friend. That's all I got to say about that.
I saw a tweet, and I wish I saved it so I could show it to you guys right now. It was basically pictures of RVD and AEW, and the first side said, AEW fans, if WWE brings back a 45-year-old, like, terrible veteran, and they were, like, shitting on WWE, like, oh, that's a terrible move. But once RVD actually goes to AEW, they're like, oh, let's fucking go. We got RVD. That's amazing.
It's exactly what the problem is with wrestling fans in general.
Yep.
And listen, I'm one of them, but let me be very clear. I also have an idea. If RVD was to come back for WWE, I would think the same fucking thing. I don't want him on the fucking card. Let's be very real.
My favorite was Jeff Hardy when they're like considering bringing back to WWE. Screw him. He should go to rehab. Stay out of it. As soon as he goes to AEW, Hardy Boys, baby.
Here's the thing. We at WWE was getting shit on when we brought back fucking Ricky Steamboat so many times. Those AEW fans are loving it. Him
Oh
getting
my god.
going to AEW and getting beat up by Ricky Starks for no reason at all.
Yep.
It's
Crazy.
just- It's so nauseating. And, listen, I do a podcast, so I'm going to dive in head first and, discuss this shit. But just let the companies be what they are. AEW is a young company. They still need to improve. But they are portrayed at the top like they're going to be rivaling WWE. If you cannot average 1 million viewers on your weekly television product, you are not rivaling anything. You aren't even rivaling a fucking kids cartoon on fucking Wednesday nights. So
They're nowhere near.
You're almost the same as WWE's developmental brand every week for your main show.
Oh,
And they're acting like they're WCW.
Just wait. We got college football coming back soon on Saturdays.
It's gonna be a night. And listen, when
They're dead in the water.
I saw the Collision rating. I don't know. I think someone may have said it came out too early, so it's not actually officially out. It may come out on Tuesday. But someone said it was like 390. And their original is like high sevens. That shows you that half of your fan base did not watch your show because they were watching SummerSlam.
And
They were watching your rival.
That's fine.
They were watching your rival.
And it shows those. Half of your fan base is essentially the three of us that watch both companies when wrestling is on, and we're objective. And SummerSlam is just better than Collision. Any WWE premium event is just going to do better than AEW. It just is what it is. WWE is a well-oiled machine that has the longevity and like the funds to basically be able to produce everything. You're still a startup. I know I love AEW, but I'm sick of hearing all the, oh yeah, we're doing better than WWE in this category. Okay, let's say you did better that 1 week. Look at the other 51 fucking weeks of the year. You're going to celebrate 1 week?
I would love to see like Collision or Dynamite, whatever, go up against an NXT pay-per-view. I feel like that would really speak volumes as well.
I think it'd be close. I think
to see if their viewers drop,
but
to see if their viewers drop that much for an NXT event, I think that would be very interesting.
I think it'd be close. I think Collision would win, but not by much.
Even if it was an NXT pay-per-view?
Yeah.
You think Collision wins?
I think Collision wins, yeah.
Wow.
It depends. It depends on what capacity CM Punk is. If CM Punk has like a title match or something very important, I would probably give the edge to Collision. But if CM Punk is either not scheduled or is in something that's not really meaningful, then I give NXT pay-per-view the edge on that one. So it all depends. Like, CM Punk,
he just had a title match and fucking lost 400,000 viewers.
To SummerSlam, though.
Yeah, to
SummerSlam is a stiff competition. What I'll say is, if there's no college football on and you're telling me to pick between the NXT pay-per-view and the Collision pay-per-view, I'm personally watching the NXT pay-per-view and recording Collision.
Yep.
But that's just me. Maybe that's just me. And listen, you can call me a WWE homer. That's okay. That's where I started watching wrestling, and that's fine. I've been to AEW shows. I love AEW shows, and I think they're great. But let's pump the brakes on thinking this is like the biggest accomplishment in wrestling because you're selling out Wembley Stadium. Listen, WWE would sell it out probably 6 of the 7 days of the week if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Just relax a little bit. It's a huge accomplishment for the company itself. Stop putting the big accomplishment up against other people. Make it a big accomplishment for AEW. That's what the accomplishment should be. It's a huge show that a week after you have another pay-per-view that you still haven't booked for. And that is what it is.
Haven't even finished booking the first one.
Yeah. And from what I saw, Jeff Jarrett and Grotto are a rumored match on that match. I don't even know who. Listen, maybe this is just me. I don't know who the fuck Grotto is. He's a legend. He's an old guy. If him versus Jeff Jarrett is what you do to draw, that's enough said.
That's my bathroom break.
Bully Ray saying that they shouldn't announce any match for All In. Imagine you're in the stands and you see Grotto come out, and then Jeff Jarrett come out immediately after. You are
I'd be
not
like,
going
why
to be
the fuck
fucking
did I buy
happy.
this ticket?
You're not going to be fucking. I'd rather know the match is going into it ahead of time.
Yeah,
That's probably why he said that, because to protect AEW, because he knows that AEW can't lace WWE's boots, so he wants to say, all right, well, clearly knowing that WWE is going to have the better show, just have it unannounced so we can just surprise you all. So buy the tickets ahead of time. He knows that WWE is like the better, like, well-oiled machine. It's just not comparable. And I like AEW. I watch it every week, but from what I see,
we have to justify a lot.
yeah, from
I'm not justifying shit.
just in totality, yeah, in totality though, it's just not even a comparison.
Yeah. On that note,
Sorry.
let's move to our SummerSlam review.
Sorry, AEW guys.
Yeah, sorry, AEW. I feel like we shit on them a fair share.
Probably lost some
Listen,
viewers.
This was supposed to
Listen.
be our SummerSlam show.
I'll have some bad things to say about SummerSlam. Not many, because there wasn't many things, but hey, one thing I'll say is they sold out of 60,000 people for a SummerSlam. This is not a Mania. This is a SummerSlam.
To the AEW crowd that's watching right now, I will shit on WWE. I will shit on WWE. The crowd at SummerSlam fucking sucked. They were garbage.
They sucked for some matches. They were okay for others. I lost my fucking train of thought because we're still on the fucking AEW shit.
Let's give the fans what they want. Let's do our critique on it now.
We're gonna
Listen,
do our
if they want instead of 2 goofs, 3 goofs go on their pre-show, they can contact us. We're right here.
Let me know.
Like, come on.
Exactly.
You got these 2 goofs running around the parking lot. We got 3 right here.
Yeah, 3 right now.
I
don't know what's better than 2, but I think 3 is.
We'll go full impromptu. We'll go without a script. We'll just wing it.
That'll be good for their show. They'll never come back.
I have a CM Punk shirt.
I got a Chris Benoit shirt somewhere.
Speaking of oh Jesus Christ. Survivor Series is almost sold out. They're like 100 tickets away or something like that, and that's months in advance.
Yep.
There's just levels to it. SummerSlam, we're kicking off our SummerSlam review. Sorry to keep you waiting, folks, for those that are watching us live or are going to be listening to this show. We're about 35 minutes in, and we've been shooting on AEW for about 10, 15 minutes. So SummerSlam. Overall reviews, gentlemen, before I go match by match, I would say 8.5 out of 10 for me. I think I would say 8.5. I think the matches on the card were really good for the most part. And then let's just hop in. I'm going to go match by match as I usually do. Shout out to who won the card.
Chris. I believe Chris did.
How many points did you lose, Chris?
I only lost my 2 on Asuka. Thank God.
I think the Balor match.
I think the Balor match was
Seth.
Yeah, I picked Seth for 3.
I think that was the one that solidified it.
Some of us obviously had Becky and Rhea in our predictions. That gave me 18 points. I don't know. We all had 10 on Rhea, but how many did you have on Becky, Chris?
I had 10 on Rhea. I had a 9 on Becky.
Okay, so it didn't matter. Yeah, Sean and I both lost 3 points because we lost our 2 and our 1.
Yeah, I had a 7 on Becky.
Match. So congratulations to Chris. This could start his comeback. We are 7-4. What are we? 7-4-3 now.
I believe so. Yeah.
On the cards. So congratulations to Chris, and congratulations to me for the Great American Bash. I didn't announce it on the card, but I did announce it on Twitter. So the first match on the card was a hot start. Logan Paul defeating Ricochet. 18 minutes was the official time. What a fucking match. What I will say, I knew this match would be good in the ring. This was a match that also had spots that I personally have never seen before. They did moves that were just really, really risk-taking in certain areas, like the buckshot lariat to the outside with Logan Paul landing all the way down on the floor and hitting the buckshot with minimal room from the barricade. I thought was fantastic. I thought the suplex out of the corner by Logan Paul with Ricochet having him on his shoulders, I've never seen him do that either. Just supreme athleticism. And what I'd really like to say is, for both guys, this is huge. I think Ricochet deserves like a primetime feud coming off of this. Do I think that'll happen? That's a whole nother question. That's a no for me, probably. Logan continues to show that he is just a natural. It just comes naturally to him. And this match got more time than I thought it was going to, 18 minutes. It was worth every minute. Everything about this match was fucking fantastic, and it was a great start to this pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly how you expect a SummerSlam to start, and I think it exceeded all of our expectations, especially being an 18-minute match. We know what Logan can do, and we know how, I mean, gifted Ricochet is as well. And I think that they have such a good chemistry together. I mean, not only did they put on a good match, but they told a great story leading up to the match as well. It was very personal between the two, especially with Logan bringing Samantha Irvin into it, and you saw him bring her into it after the match as well when he was like, "Come on, say it one more time, say my name one more time." You know, he's just a prick. He's such a natural heel as well, and I think Ricochet needed this more than Logan did because I mean, in NXT, we saw Ricochet feuding with Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream. He was feuding with top guys in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe he's not as good on the mic as we wish he was or as he could be,
Don't ask Sean.
but but
Yeah, keep me
I
out of this.
mean, if he can put on matches like that consistently, he should most definitely be in bigger feuds coming up, especially for some mid card championships. I know right now Theory has the US title and Gunther has the IC title. But I mean, if Santos ends up taking that championship off of Theory at any time, I'd love to see Escobar and Ricochet go at it for, you know, a little bit, maybe a couple months at least, because I think Ricochet kind of solidified himself at this pay-per-view as a guy who can really go. Um, Logan, I mean, I can't say enough about him. The buckshot, like you said, I think the Spanish fly that was off the ring
Oh,
apron
yes. Mm-hmm.
that they both stood up and then Ricochet ended up hitting one. I thought that was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Um, the frog splash when Ricochet was like basically on the other side of the ring that Logan hit was insane too. So I mean, not enough can be said about that guy. He came out there first match of SummerSlam, put on an absolute classic, and then went and saw his brother box. I mean, the guy is just I think he really does love WWE at this point, and he's just such a natural at it that I mean, throw some money at him to keep him longer.
I agree.
Yeah, this match is fantastic. It had like an opening to WrestleMania, like a Money in the Bank ladder match type feel with like just the pace. It was very fast paced, which is what Ricochet and Logan Paul clearly displayed and wanted to show the fans. They're both just completely God gifted. Like there's nothing else I can say. You can put as much like effort and talent into what you do, but literally you can practice all those reps. But Logan Paul just does it so easily, and he had with his short tenure in WWE the buckshot, the Spanish fly. I thought he broke his ankle on that or is about to, but he landed it. He kept going, very durable, and just continues to shine and just deliver each match that he's in. And I do agree with you, Chris. I think this did a lot for Ricochet because Ricochet is always in great feuds, but not of them. A lot of them are box office, like Logan Paul is, and I think he needed that a feud to go up against a guy that's very popular across the world. So to anyone that wasn't, familiar with Ricochet or cared about him, they're like, all right, we can go back to SummerSlam and see that guy and what he does. I definitely want to see him in like an IC title or United States title run. If he can, I think also this will do good for his like promo skills too, because it'll give him more practice to cut promos and like on the mic and everything. So if he gets a singles run, that'll be extra reps for him and everything. So that'll be like a win-win either way. But this match is fantastic. Probably the best match of the night.
Here's the thing. I would love to see a second match between the two,
Yep.
specifically because Logan used the brass knucks to win.
And maybe
And
they do.
and we haven't seen Logan have two matches with the same person yet, which I think is very interesting.
Yep.
So
I
I would
agree.
love to see them go again at some point.
Same.
I would take it at Payback, to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
The second match on the card was interesting placement. We texted beforehand when the lineup got announce, which I wish they wouldn't do because I like being surprised the night of. And then Chris texts us and says the lineup's out there, so I have to go and fucking look.
Oh, you guys didn't see it before I said that?
No, we
Oh,
didn't.
man.
So then we all did it. So the second match was Cody and Brock. I thought Cody and Brock should have went on third, and Sean said this right away. It should have been the Battle Royal second, which I thought was correct. Listen, everything seemed to work out. Cody and Brock, we didn't know what to expect without a stipulation. It was exactly the match that you can expect Brock Lesnar to be able to do if he is booked correctly and will do it. This was their best match by far, and this is Brock's best match probably since last year at SummerSlam. I think that the official time was 17:35. They gave him a little over 17 minutes. This was very entertaining for me. It had a lot of story, which most Cody Rhodes matches do. Brock just needs to pace himself in these matches, and I think he did a great job of it here. It was booked very, very well. Cody got some great offense in towards the end of the match. Brock Lesnar pretty much dominated the first 10, 12 minutes of this match, and then Cody had a flurry, and it was really awesome. He got F5 through the table, on the outside. Tons of mix of suplexes as well. It just wasn't belly to bellies and Germans. It was all different types of suplexes from Brock. He did that one fucking weird ass wheelbarrow suplex, we called it, that was picking Cody up from the ground and fucking throwing him over his shoulder. It was one of the Brock matches that was just very entertaining. And you could tell, and Chris said this before, Brock is having a ton of fun. This was a great match, in my opinion. It wasn't your 5-star barn burner type match, but it was a great match for what it was supposed to be, with a lot of story. And one funny thing is, when I went back to rewatch this match a second time, I want to know how early Brock ripped his fucking shorts, because it was early in the fucking match.
Yeah.
That poor bastard was running out there with no fucking shorts on, basically. But man, this is great. There's not much else to say. I was really happy with this, and it seems like Brock's going to be a face now at the end of this. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, I was extremely impressed by everything with this match, I think. And I mean, the promo package, the video package before the match was one of the best that I've ever seen. And I think this really made the feud really come full circle at this point, because if they didn't put on a good match here, I think they would have got a lot of criticism, more Brock than anybody, because the other two matches were kind of a letdown for a lot of people. While the finishes did make sense for those matches, they weren't good. They weren't given a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think this match right here was, probably the combined time of the other two matches, to be honest, are pretty close to it. So when the match started, it started really fast. I mean, a lot of suplexes. Cody was getting some offense at first as well. I'm like, this is going to be a very fast match again, just like their other matches. It's not going to be a lot of time. And then it did start to slow down a little bit, and Brock got a ton of offense in. And the fact that it went 17 minutes, I was shocked, but I was extremely happy because so much did happen in the match. They told such a great story. And then even after the match, I mean, what happened in the ring after the match, nobody expected to happen. Nobody expected Brock to shake hands with Cody and raise his hand. Cody didn't expect it. Cody didn't know how to react, which I thought was great.
Said in the interview or after, he said he thought he was going to knock him out.
He said he thought he was going to fucking
He did look a little timid. He had his hands up. He's going to throw a punch or something.
So, I mean, that just makes that feud so much better that happened. Cody earned the respect of Brock. And I think that goes a long way. And I really do think what Cody said in the press conference is that moment is gonna last a long time with him, and it's gonna go a long way with him as well. Funny thing about Brock Lesnar is I saw someone tweet, and they were like, "Oh, he's sweating so much that his shorts just deteriorated," because it just happened out of nowhere. I was looking and I was like, "Is Brock Lesnar wearing a thong right now under his shorts?"
I said the same thing to Jeremy.
Yep.
But I was extremely happy with it. I mean, we all kind of knew Cody was going to win, so it was a really good match. I was very happy with that.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed. I turned to Jeremy and our friend Eddie, like this, and we all agreed. We were like, the first thing we said was Brock Lesnar is under the most pressure of his entire career with this match because of the fact that
Sean said that the most pressure. I did not say that.
well, we all agreed though. I said it, but we all agreed. But the reason being because you're feuding against arguably the biggest face in the company right now, and the first two matches were below average to lackluster. So this one he had to show up for, and boy did he ever show up for this one. At first, he was sweating a lot, so he did go a little too fast. But as the match went on, maybe like 5 minutes in, he paced himself really well, and then they started doing the angle where Brock got a lot of offense in. But they were playing it off as, all right, is Cody going to be able to beat the 10 count? So then Brock kept saying to him, stay down, Cody. It's going to get worse for you. He kept doing F5, different types of suplex, the wheelbarrow that we called it. He was doing a little bit of everything, which is something that we are not used to seeing Brock do. Normally, we're used to like German suplex, F5, and that's it. But he was doing some of the shoulder blocks. He had some outside moves that he was doing. And then when Cody kept going through, like around before he broke the 10 count, I thought that was a really cool storyline because it felt like a David versus Goliath type story, like that they were telling inside the match. But at the end, Cody delivered his offense, flipped the Cody cutter, and then some crossroads, and then 1, 2, 3. But after the match, though, like we talked about, I think Brock raising his hand just tells you right there, like it was a message to the WWE and Triple H that this is a guy that you need to crown as the next Universal Champion to dethrone Roman Reigns. And I think there's no other guy but Cody. And getting the stamp of approval from Brock just goes a long way because Brock's a made man. The guy is one of the most box office, well-known dudes in the world. And getting what you got, and the fact it was unscripted really says a lot that Brock has a lot of respect for Cody. And also, Brock, we talk about all the time. Brock will sell for you if he likes you. Brock Lesnar is one of the best sellers in the current roster, especially the high-flying cutter at the tail end of it. Cody delivered his final cutter from the top rope, and it was a perfectly placed cutter, which Cody always does. But Brock sold it picture perfectly. You don't see Brock Lesnar doing that for people he doesn't respect. And that says a lot for him. So I have nothing but good things to say about this match. The best match by far, and I really enjoyed it.
I think just quickly too on that Cody Cutter. I don't know if it's true because Fast and I talked about this quickly. That may be the first top rope Cody Cutter that he's done since WrestleMania 38. Because I don't, and I don't know if he's done it on a Raw. But I could be wrong. But I think that was the first one since WrestleMania 38 that he did a top rope, which was fucking awesome. The third match was the Slim Jim Battle Royal, 25-man Battle Royal. Just quickly on Austin Theory, yes, he is your United States champion, was in this match, and got a jobber entrance. Didn't even get an entrance to this match. That should tell you what's going on with Austin Theory right now. Very unfortunate. Highlights of this match. The winner of this match was someone we had little to no faith in winning after we saw what happened on Friday. So we did our predictions earlier in the week, and yes, we all picked LA Knight. But what happened on Friday night was LA Knight fucking won his match against Sheamus. So we instantly thought that was an absolute doomsday for LA Knight in this match. Turns out it was not. And what I will say quickly, there are a few things I just want to mention. Great job on LA Knight and Sheamus doing the callback from the mishap on Friday night's match, where LA Knight jumped up to the top rope. They had a little blunder there. They came right back to it the next night, and I thought that was fucking a fantastic idea for them to do. Omos actually looked really good in this match. He was the one return at SummerSlam, the one no one was predicting. But listen, Omos is someone that is very athletic for his size, but he's always just going to be too big compared to everyone else. So he's never going to really look that great. But let me tell you what, he's very athletic for his size, like I said. And he did well in this match, and I thought it was entertaining. I thought this was a very entertaining battle royal for what it was. The right winner, and you had everyone kind of continuing feuds based off of this. AJ and Karrion Kross, they're continuing their feud. You had some other things going. Ciampa, Shinsuke, Bronson Reed, they had their moment in this match. I thought everything was very well thought out in this battle royal that was simply just thrown together. I thought it was actually very entertaining for a battle royal.
Yeah, normally I don't really care about battle royals, but I feel like there was a lot on the line here, especially specifically for LA Knight, considering how over he is currently. So I think there was a lot on the line for him. So I was actually interested to see who was going to win this match. And rightfully so, and luckily so, it was actually him. I don't think we all picked him, but I think we all had our superstitions that he wasn't going to, specifically, like you said, because of Friday. My favorite part of the match was Grayson Waller and The Miz when they hit that move together. And then Corey Graves was like, "Is that like the Spider-Man meme? Them looking at each other like that, pointing at each other?" Because look right next to each other, they look the same, and they kind of act the same too.
They talk the same.
They're very similar.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they put them together at some point. I mean, I'd love to see Waller go on his own, but I wouldn't be shocked if they put him with The Miz because I think that would be great if they did.
Would Grayson be the face?
Huh?
No, he's talking about together.
No, like
together.
Like
gotcha.
Together, yeah, as a tag team.
Gotcha.
Because I think that would be fantastic if they did. But yeah, I thought it was very good. I mean, I'm so happy that LA Knight finally picked up a win at a pay-per-view, but it was only a battle royal. It was a Slim Jim battle royal. So where do they go from here? Because they could just do absolutely nothing with him after this. So let's wait and find out. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I'm happy for the time being.
Yeah, I'm also not really a fan of battle royals. This one was okay. I mean, it was like I would say like it's very comparable, the same as what the IC number one contenders one was for Raw when Ali won it. It was very entertaining, but at the end of the day, though, it didn't really mean much considering that there was really nothing on the line here. I think this is more about like with the winner being LA Knight, more the fact that it's like, all right, hey, you guys victory on SmackDown against Sheamus, one of the all-time greats. We're going to continue this momentum builder because reports are saying that after SummerSlam, he was going to get this big push. And right now, it looks like they're already going ahead of time with that. So starting with SmackDown with the singles victory, and then they go right back to it because I think we all felt that since LA Knight won the match, that the next best competitor that was probably going to win was Grayson Waller. He was probably the odds-on favorite after that outcome. So they did stick with LA Knight. Almost did have some good spots in the match. I thought Bronson Reed had some really cool ones as well. Bronson Reed, I can't say enough about him. That dude is an absolute powerhouse and very athletic for his size. But at the end of the day, though, it's like, what are we doing here? What's like the reward? Like 80% off Slim Jims going forward, like for the next year?
I think the reward is more on bragging rights. The other thing quickly, so I enjoyed this Battle Royal, I guess, more than both of you, but way better than the IC Battle Royal. Mustafa Ali and LA Knight winners are not comparable for me. It's something that they bought into, which I was looking forward to them not doing because I thought they were not going to do it. The other thing, Santos eliminated Austin Theory. I'm hoping that means Austin Theory keeps his title until LA Knight takes it from him because I think LA Knight should be the guy to hold the U.S. title. Take it from him maybe at Payback or another pay-per-view. It should not be Santos. That's just me. But I think
I agree. Also, Santos beat Austin Theory clean on SmackDown, so I think that's even more of a reason why Theory should retain and then have LA Knight go over on him. So I second that.
I think it just makes sense. And then you have to have Theory. You don't need to repackage him, but you need to do something with him to make him push to that level. I don't think you turn him face because I really don't think that's necessarily the route you should take. He's going to get over as a heel. You just need to give him the spotlight because right now he's barely on the show.
They need
what a difference between him on Raw and him on SmackDown. Like, he was so valued on Raw, going back to the days where he was working with Mr. McMahon on segments. And now, being like on the come up with the U.S. title, feuding with Lashley, Seth Rollins. And now you perceive poor guy's barely on TV. The last time we saw him, if I recall correctly, was him on the upper edge eating popcorn.
He was on commentary a couple weeks.
I just think that they need to end the feud with AJ and Cross and have Theory and AJ feud.
Oh, that'd be
I'm
great.
down for
Because
that.
that would be almost like when Cena and AJ feuded, like,
Give them 15 minutes or so.
give them some time.
Except AJ can probably wrestle a bit longer than Cena at this point.
Right. But I think they do need to get that title off Theory and put him with some vets. I
Yeah.
think maybe someone like Edge, because Edge is on SmackDown too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. But I don't know.
I
I think
agree.
him holding that title is kind of holding him back right now. And I never
then,
thought I'd say that.
yeah, me either. That's interesting to say. The next match was the shit break, if you want to say, or the snooze fest. And I think everyone was taking a shit, and really, there we got "This is boring" chants apparently in the stadium. Ronda Rousey losing to Shayna Baszler in the MMA rules match. 7 minutes, 30 seconds. I think a lot of people will say it's 7 minutes and 30 seconds they can never get back. Listen, I was worried about this when they said MMA rules because it's not the style of wrestling that people really like on a big pay-per-view. It's just not. So for me, and Sean's right, maybe you could have substituted the Becky match for this match and put the Shayna and Ronda match on a Monday Night Raw or something.
We're underground.
But this match did not hit, I think, for many people. What I will say is, listen, there were some cool spots if you are like a UFC tactician type person. I really didn't think some of the transitions they were doing were that bad. I thought there were some entertaining, maneuvers and reversals. But the match sucked, just to be quite frank. If you're looking for it as a pay-per-view match, you'll probably never watch it again and you'll think about it as one of those ones that just got away. I thought the story was way better than the match here. The story between Ronda and Shayla, they had some great video packages, and it was very personal. And I think it got very personal in the ring as well, but it just didn't hit. I don't want to say too much about this match because it was not a good one.
Yeah, I definitely got my hopes up for this one, and I should have known that this is exactly what it was going to be. This is a match that I wanted for quite some time, so I was happy that I finally got it. And then the MMA rules part just really got me. I'm like, how are they actually going to pretend to have a real fight in WWE? Because the fight pit is different. It's not like MMA rule.
Yeah.
You still do wrestling moves and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, how are they going to portray this as an MMA fight? And I just think they did a poor job doing that. I think Shayna's high leg kick that connected with Rousey was very cool. I think they made that look very good. But it was going to be very hard for them to put on this fake real fight, even though that's what I mean. Wrestling is entertainment at the end of the day. But to fake an MMA fight to me was just so different. And I didn't like the concept behind it. I kind of wish they went with just a regular wrestling match. I think it would have been better if they did.
I agree. Or a
So
submission match or something.
it was very poor. It makes sense that Ronda lost because if this is her way out, she just got choked out by one of her best friends. But I'm just not happy if this is Ronda's final match. It wasn't a good match at all. I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, and it goes to show also like that your matches are also dictated in a portion by the fans. The fans clearly gave two shits about this match. There was zero energy, absolute crickets during it. And it reminded me honestly, like kind of the feel with like Ronda's situation at WrestleMania 20 with Goldberg and Brock, even though Shane is not leaving, but back then both of them were leaving the company. So they clearly half-assed it, even though Stone Cold was the special guest referee to make the excitement. But at the end of the day, though, when one person or more is leaving, you're not going to get the effort. Now, I thought Ronda, I also got my hopes up on this one because when Ronda wants to work with somebody and like really like values like the style of opponent, and well, in this case, her best friend, I thought she was going to go above and beyond, kind of go back to like her Charlotte and Becky days where she gives 110%. But man, this was not good at all. The fact that, I mean, there's a reason why UFC is its own sport and WWE is its own sport. You just can't combine the two. Like, imagine Amanda Nunes coming to WWE and asking her to fake punches and fake like submissions. It's just not going to work.
They'll do for Conor McGregor as well. The same thing.
Yep.
It'll be the same thing.
But the problem with Conor is Conor actually might head kick you for real, then get sued. But yeah, I mean, I will say this. So there were some cool like moves, like some submissions that like Ronda did apply. Shayna threw some nice leg kicks, high kicks as well. So I'll give them that. But when you try and transition the two in WWE, it just doesn't work out, and it just became very lackluster, unfortunately.
I will say that Ronda's little step up knee, I
It was
thought that
good.
knocked Shayna out. I
Same.
thought that connected flush on Shayna's
That
nose
was
and
a good
knocked her
one.
out.
She probably told her to like legitimately hit her too.
I think the fans, like Sean, just to harp on your point, I think the fans just don't give a fuck about Ronda Rousey at this point. I think that's unfortunately what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So listen, 2019, Ronda Rousey is gone, and I'm
unfortunately.
not sure if we'll ever get her back. So that's
Yep.
it for that. The next match was Gunther and Drew McIntyre. So Gunther retains the championship, 13 minutes 40 seconds. I did think, and Chris said this before, I did think this was going to be a little bit longer of a match. Exactly what I thought for this match. People said it was lackluster. I saw a lot of that. Sean saw a lot of that. I thought this was fun. It was exactly what I expected it to be. They were very physical. They were very powerful, and Gunther ended up retaining. It's exactly what I said was probably going to happen. They're not taking the title off of him. Listen, we saw the better match at WrestleMania, and that was always going to be the better match. I don't think Drew and Gunther were going to come out here and have a better match than what the triple threat was. So for just the two of them involved, I thought it was a fine match. Very physical. Drew hits a great Claymore. That's it. Gunther wins. I
Yeah.
don't think. I think it's his matches are going to be predictable until the record happens. And
Yeah.
listen, if he goes into a program with Chad Gable and has 3 matches, and Chad Gable beats him on the third, I'll be satisfied. I'm absolutely fine with that because I think, if that's the direction they're going, get me on board for that shit because I thought it's going to be fucking great. But this match was fine. Drew McIntyre comes back and takes a loss. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing for him, but I don't think it necessarily kills him either.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, there's really not much to say. It's exactly kind of what we expected. We all picked Gunther. Two big men who hit hard, who are
And a
very
slap in the knee.
powerful, very, very physical. Gunther's not losing that title until he breaks the record, so we know that. I think that this for Drew McIntyre, you got to turn the guy heel at this point. I said the entire time that I was not sold on McIntyre being the guy to do it. I was interested that they brought him back, especially putting him with Gunther because I didn't think McIntyre should come back and take a. Still don't think he should have come back and take a loss.
Agreed.
I think that he
But
should
he
have
did.
came out and turned heel instead of coming out as a face. Turn him heel, put him with Cody, even though he's probably going to take more losses to Cody.
I was to say you start losing.
Maybe
to
he'll get
Cody.
one like Brock did. Maybe they'll have a trilogy as well because Cody seems to have a trilogy with just about anybody at this point. Until he gets to Roman at least. So maybe McIntyre will get one on him. But I think for Drew at this point, you just have to change him. You have to turn him heel. He needs that change of character because he's been a face for a couple of years now, I think it's been. And his run or runs have been a little lackluster over the past few years, for him at least, I think. So turn him heel and see what he can do with maybe Cody or someone like that. But yeah, the match itself, I mean, it was exactly what I expected. I think it should have gone a little bit longer, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I thought the match was really good. I expected basically both stylistically, like they are probably wrestlers that I'm a fan of the most because like they do a lot of everything, especially Gunther. Gunther just has an arsenal of tools that he brings out. And at one portion of the match, they brought back like shades of Clash of the Castle with Sheamus and Gunther with the Chop Fest they were doing. At one point, McIntyre was winning that battle, so it was nice to see because both guys are absolutely like jacked to the gills. Well, more so on McIntyre, but Gunther's very strong as well. But it was a good match. As far as McIntyre, though, I was very shocked that he lost clean. I will say that. I thought after McIntyre was demolishing Imperium on like the prior build up to Raw, I thought they were going to get heavily involved and cost him the match here, which would set up 2 more feuds with Gunther, where I thought Gunther would get the record. And then the third match was when I thought McIntyre would go over on Gunther because I think he needs an like a mid-card title run right now because at this stage of his career, I'm not really on the hype train for another world title run with him, at least like as a face, because I think as a face, he's just not good as far as the character. In ring wise, he's awesome. But him losing clean, I kind of is like a foreshadowing because I think honestly he may not renew that contract. He might leave WWE because I think his contract, if I'm not mistaken, is like the first quarter of 2024. I believe I'll have to double check on that. But if that's the case, I can honestly see him not re-signing unless they turn him heel because he's really pretty much done everything you could ask for. Like there isn't anything he hasn't done yet. He's accomplished so much. And right now there's not that much for him right now. And just losing clean on the first match like that was a little bit of a shocker. But the match itself I enjoyed.
He needs to come back with the trench coat and the hair in front of his face.
Yeah.
So
that'd be cool.
That's what he needs.
The next match was probably, in my opinion, and maybe many's opinion, the best match on the card. We had Seth freaking Rollins on my shirt today, beating Finn Balor in 18 minutes and 30 seconds. Fantastic match. Many near falls in this match and really bought me into potentially Finn winning this title. I have two stances on this match. I am fine with Seth Rollins winning. I am also very hurt that Finn Balor did not win. I also think Finn Balor has come so close to winning a world title that he's seemingly going to be the one that always gets close but never gets selected type of vibe.
He did beat Seth in 2016 for a day.
Yeah, but since 2016, he's not held another world championship, and I'm not sure if he ever will hold another world championship. Which is frustrating at times because I thought this was the time to give it to him if he's going to give it to him at all. For me, if Seth Rollins is injured and needs to take a little time off, you give him a couple of months off to really heal his body, and you have Finn just run with it until Survivor Series or Rumble, and you have Seth Rollins take it back, and then you have Gunther challenge Seth Rollins. I would do it at Survivor Series. I would have Rollins take it back. That's not the case, so Rollins is just going to ride it out for as long as he can. Listen, if they're going to have Rollins ride out to WrestleMania, fine. But if he's going to lose before WrestleMania, I don't know if anyone else was really right for the taking besides Balor. So for me, listen, the match itself, like I said, a lot of near falls and a lot of entertainment. Damian Priest, the whole Judgment Day got involved in this match. I did not think it would be the whole Judgment Day. I thought it would just be Priest. But Priest came down, there was a lot of near falls with the briefcase. The ending was fantastic. The ref was distracted by Rhea and Dom. Damian Priest tried to slide the case to Finn Balor, and he ends up getting stomped on. I thought it was a fucking very poetic ending. And only creates, that face that Damian Priest left the match with. Balor was just staring at him, and Priest was like irritated / disappointed that Finn Balor couldn't win, and he also was like, oh shit, I guess I just cost him the match. I thought the storytelling was really good. The entrances were fucking fantastic. I'll let you guys go into a little more detail. I don't want to go over everything. But yeah, bravo to them. I thought this was at least a 4.75 match in terms of in-ring quality as well.
I have been extremely harsh, more harsh than I think a lot of people about this specific Seth Rollins championship run. And I said that this match right here was extremely enormous for him because he's had such, I think, not necessarily poor, but not up to my expectations of a Seth Rollins championship run. This match right here completely reinvested me in Seth Rollins being world champ. Because of how good the match was, the near falls, the storytelling, everything in the match. So that makes me happy that Seth Rollins is still champion because this is the match that I've wanted for a while with him. And, I'm very sad that Finn Balor lost as well because I thought there was so much story there. Obviously, we're going to get even more story now. I really did think, though, at one point in that match, Finn Balor had it. When Seth was on the outside, he attacked Priest. He's curb stomped Dom on the outside, got back into the ring. Finn immediately went on the attack, and that was probably the nearest 3 fall of the night. It was 2 3/4, and Seth kicked out. I think something that's very interesting is at the end of the match when Priest threw the briefcase into the ring and walked around to the other side to distract the ref. When he placed the briefcase in the ring, you could see Finn, the look on Finn's face, like, why didn't you slide me the briefcase? Why do I have to crawl to the other side of the ring to get the briefcase? So I don't know if Finn's going to use that against Priest, like, oh, you set me up to lose this match. I don't know if that's how they're going to play it, because he was very confused why Priest just didn't hand him the briefcase to use it. And, Seth capitalized on that. Seth hit the stomp onto the briefcase, 1, 2, 3, takes the title and goes backstage, and who knows what's going to happen with the Judgment Day tonight. But yeah, I am so invested in this now, this Seth Rollins championship run. I can't wait to see where it goes. I saw possibly at Payback we could get Seth, Finn, and Priest in a triple threat. I would love that. I would love a triple threat match, even though Priest has the briefcase. I mean, maybe he'll somehow earn a championship match anyways, or maybe he'll cash in for a triple threat match. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I saw that could possibly be a match at Payback. So, I mean, I can't wait to see where it goes from here, but this match was fantastic. I think it was the best match of the night.
Yeah, the match is really good. I will say this. I was very shocked that Seth Rollins won, because I was really banking on, this was the perfect time period where he was just going to heal his wounds. And obviously the Finn Balor aspect of the story, like how Judgment Day has been playing out. But I'm not mad at the outcome, because Seth Rollins also, he's one of my favorites. Probably, I still think he's the best in the world. But I will say, though, this does take a hit for Finn Balor now, because now Finn Balor is now out of championship matches. Maybe they could insert him. Maybe they do a tournament where he's able to earn his way back. But it's tough, because I'm looking at potential like opponents for Seth Rollins. If they don't go with Judgment Day, like with Damian and Finn, I'm looking at the winners on SummerSlam, because normally, like, if you have a winner, like, they're kind of next in line. So Gunther won, but he's the IC title, so he's nowhere in the main event picture. Logan Paul beat Ricochet. Logan Paul is a part-timer, and he already feuded with Seth, so that's kind of off the table. I'm kind of determining what's like left for Seth Rollins right now to feud with. Brock lost, though.
I just think Brock could be in there, is what I'm saying.
Oh, just go in there, just demand a title match and get it? Fuck it, why not?
I think he could. That's just what Brock Lesnar does. But
I'm all for it. I'm down to see that. But yeah, the match is pretty good though overall. I enjoyed it. There was the last coup de grace that Finn Balor did. I thought that was it. I really did. I thought it was really cool though that Dom, Rhea, and Damian got involved with it, because I did not want it to just be Damian Priest, because it would have been too obvious that he was scheming against Finn Balor. So having the rest of Judgment Day in there as well made it seem for Balor that they're all in this together to align him. But that was interesting, though, that Damian Priest was just fucking around with Finn Balor with that briefcase like that. So we're probably going to see maybe the opening segment tonight, Finn Balor asking Damian to explain himself. But this match is really good.
I think Cody will be the opening segment, but
yeah, he's gonna get attacked by Brock.
After he turns face,
he's gonna shake his hand.
John Cena's gonna come back and he's gonna turn heel on Cody.
Oh God.
Yeah. So one thing I will say, Chris is right. This definitely gives Rollins, to the other side of this. This gives the Rollins title reign some fucking juice, because their first match sucked. And Rollins has not had that match that has like cornerstone his run. This was it. This was very well done, and it gives the title reign so much more juice,
some legitimacy.
Yeah, I thought the AJ match was good too at Night of Champions.
It was good, but that was for the title, right? So
yeah,
that wasn't really part of the run.
That's fair.
So the next match was the women's triple threat: Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Charlotte. The shocker of them all was Bianca Belair actually won this match. I am still surprised now that Bianca Belair won this match, because I thought for sure Charlotte was going to win to add another title reign, to quickly lose to Io Sky. But Bianca gets the short title reign, some reason why. And listen, I think what's interesting about this match was fantastic, by the way. The actual match itself was very good. 20 minutes and 45 seconds was the official time. What I will say, though, is if you were automatically going to take it off of whoever the winner was, even if it was Charlotte, it probably would have made sense to have Asuka retain here and have Io go over on Asuka, specifically for the fact it doesn't damage someone else and it doesn't give them a cheap title reign. So, listen, I think WWE loves to do that cheap title reign shit, so Bianca got it. Fair enough. But the match itself, great. Great selling by everyone. Bianca sold that fucking knee injury to everyone like she was going up for a fucking Oscar. And listen, what we got out of this was an Io cash-in and the right person walking out of SummerSlam as the champion. I think this was a clear cut. You need to have the cash-in and you need to have it successful. And the crowd reaction was fantastic. Dakota Kai coming in and being in front row and celebrating at the end, I thought was great too. Another one that's injured. Just a really feel good moment for someone I think that's been really deserving of it.
Yeah, I think this match was really good. I think it was extremely underrated, and I'm glad it got time. I think there were some really cool spots in this match. I mean, I think the finish was very cool with Asuka spraying Charlotte with the mist and then Bianca hitting the roll up. Bianca also hit a fantastic 450 onto Charlotte when she had the figure eight
So
locked
good.
in.
Mhm.
So there were just some very cool spots in this match. Um, I mean, we all knew Asuka was probably going to lose here because there was going to be some sort of cash in. None of us expected it to be Bianca Belair, though, being the one who was going to get cashed in on. When Bianca won there, I was legitimately shocked. And I
Me
think
too.
it's very hard.
I thought it made no sense.
It's very hard for WWE to shock people sometimes
Mm-hmm.
with results, and I think that was very shocking, especially because I mean she's pretty much I think she's undefeated at WrestleMania at this point. She just had one of the longest women's title runs in the history,
She
and
just
for her
lost the
to
title.
and she just lost the title, so to win it back for 3 seconds, then to get cashed in on it didn't make much sense. Like you said, it would have made way more sense to have Charlotte win, get another championship run. I mean, fucking whatever under her belt to get
They
number
love the
15 because she's a
village.
14-time champ right now, and then have her get cashed in on again. I will say this: I feel like they're gonna try to build. They don't need to build Charlotte to anything, but I think they're gonna try to build her to win a championship at WrestleMania 40. I was just doing a little bit of research. Charlotte has never won a women's championship in WrestleMania history. She's always
Wow.
either defended the title and won it, um, or just lost a match. She's never
Wow.
beat someone for a championship. So I feel like they're going to try to do that at some point with her. And I think that next year could possibly be the year. I mean, who knows? She could win the championship at some point over the next 4 months, lose it, and then win it back at WrestleMania. But I do think it's interesting that she's never beat someone for a championship. Um, but I was extremely pleased with Io Sky cashing in here. I think it made the most sense. I think it's cool that all of Damage Control was there as well. Very feel good moment for her. Um, poor Oscar, man. Poor Oscar. This girl, I had to pick her because of my stupid promise, and now I
You
don't
don't have
have
to
to
pick her
Yeah,
anymore.
you're
anymore.
good. You're in the
I
clear
don't have
now.
to anymore. But poor Oscar, she has been through it. I'll say that. But very good match.
Yeah, this match was fantastic. I thought this was Asuka's best match out of the feuds with Bianca. I thought she delivered. Charlotte was excellent, with her submissions, like doing the figure eight on Bianca at one point. That was really cool. I just think Bianca right now is the best in the world for the women. That girl can do everything. She was doing a lot of gymnastic type moves, like the 450 that she hit in the match, like the power of the KOD she was doing. Like there isn't a single thing that she can't do. I think the reason, looking back on it, I also was shocked that Bianca won. But when they did the kayfabe injury, now actually when it occurred, I actually thought she was legitimately injured because we didn't actually see it. We just heard, the steel steps and like her screaming. So I wasn't sure if she was legit hurt or not. When it was kayfabe and we found out, I'm like, in the back of my head, I was thinking, all right, if they're gonna have Io Sky cash in, why not have Bianca Belair get the victory here? Then Io takes advantage and they can play off the injury angle to her knee. As that was crawling through the back of my head, but I honestly thought Charlotte was still going to take it because it's Charlotte fucking Flair. It add more records to her book. But the match was fantastic, and I'm very proud of Io Sky for that. It was awesome to see Dakota Kai in there as well to celebrate with her. Hopefully she'll be back soon, even though that's a long injury to heal from.
Yeah.
And then we come to the main event of the evening. Main event, Jey Uso challenging Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. This match was 36 minutes and 5 seconds, probably around like the 45-minute mark with entrances. This match was too long. 20 minutes of this match were pretty forgettable for me. I think the last, 10, 12 minutes of this match were good. It's so interesting because Jimmy comes out at the end, and maybe I'm skipping ahead and not doing so much analysis, but I really do think the first 20 minutes of the match are pretty forgettable. Jimmy ends up coming out in a hooded sweatshirt and takes Jay basically from the win because he seemingly had the win locked up. And, Jimmy screws him out of the title. The first reaction I had was, maybe this could have happened. I maybe thought this could have happened. Then I thought this was me all thinking about it during the match. I was like, you know what? If they're going to advance the storyline, this is how they're going to do it. Then after thinking about it, I'm like, what on earth could make this make sense in certain areas? Because, Jay kind of joined Jimmy as the first person that turned against Roman from the real bloodline. Because Jimmy was always the first one to fucking excommunicate Sammy. He was the first one to turn on Roman. Jay may not have even turned on Roman if it wasn't for Jimmy. So I don't know. I'm waiting for him to explain it to make it a little bit more, make it a little more sense. I don't personally listen. I think it's going to be fine regardless. I did not necessarily love it. I didn't necessarily hate it. I thought it was fine. But I thought the main event was too long. It was Roman's longest singles match. It was longer than the WrestleMania match against Cody. And for me, listen, Roman's doing great work. But this match, like the first 10 minutes, was literally nothing. It was literally nothing. So if you cut down this match a little bit, I think it makes it a little bit more palpable for people, and the turn would be fine. Let's see what Jimmy has to say to Jay. I don't know if they're gonna drag this out. Probably, I don't know how long they're gonna do it, but it's gonna be Jimmy versus Jay at some point. I don't know if it'll be at Payback or Fastlane or Survivor Series, but it's gonna happen. And I still think the Fatal 4-Ways very well could be intact and something that they do. So if they build to that, hey, so be it. Whatever, fuck it. I'm fine with it. But what I didn't appreciate is Paul Heyman's interview after saying it's the bottom of the third inning for this story. Roman said it was the third inning of the story at WrestleMania. So for me, what are you going to have it go on for another fucking 3 years?
It's like it's the bottom of the seventh for me.
I think it should be. Yeah, listen, it's going to end before WrestleMania, and Cody is going to be against Roman at WrestleMania 40. I think by WrestleMania 40, you're going to have all the Bloodline story over. If you don't have it over, the reason I say that is because Cody will get Roman when he has no one to defend him anymore. Because I think that's the story that you can tell. Roman has been aided by someone in almost every single title defense at some point. So the story will be Cody gets him when he's not outnumbered anymore. And I think that's what puts Cody over, and that's the story. So I think it has to be cleared up by WrestleMania. And I'm fine with them dragging it out until then. And Roman's not even going to be on TV for the next 2.5 months. But this was a very long match for me. And watching it back made it even more of a long match for me. 36 minutes was way too much time.
Yeah, I don't want to say I was disappointed by the match by any means because the story's been so good, but I want to compare it to his match against Cody and his match against Sammy because I think those are two guys who were probably solidified guys who could have beat Roman for the championship at that time. And I want to put Jay into that conversation too, but watching this match, I just never felt like there was a point in time where Jay was going to win. And we all had pretty high numbers on this match that Roman was going to win. But I mean, me leading up to this match, I was so big on Jay. I had Jay second in my power rankings. And this match just didn't really do it for me with him. And I don't know what it was that was missing. I don't know if it was that it was too long. I don't know if it was the crowd that was taken out of the match. I don't know what did it, but something was missing in this match. And I really don't want to blame Jay for that because I don't think it was Jay. He was put in this spot for a reason against Roman. I just don't know what it was. I just think it was too long. Sammy's match wasn't that long. Cody's obviously was 2 minutes shorter, but I mean, Cody was the most legit person who could have beat Roman. So there was a lot of near falls in that match. There was some interference in that match. A lot happened in that match. It was very fast paced. Like you said, the first 10, 15 minutes of this match, there was really nothing going on. Solo eventually interfered in the match to help Roman. You know, Jay hit the splash in the top rope, some super kicks, Roman spears. It just, I don't know what it was, but I was really expecting more out of this match. I was expecting more near falls in this match. I didn't really know what to expect going into the tribal combat match. And then Jimmy kind of appears out of nowhere and turns on his brother as his brother has a near 3 count and then super kicks him. And the only thing that I can think of is this man is jealous. This man is jealous of Jay, that Jay was the right-hand man when he got injured. Jimmy got put on the shelf again. Jay capitalized on that and was put in another main event. The only thing I can think of is Jimmy is legitimately jealous of Jay, and they're going to settle it one-on-one, maybe at Payback. I mean, we'll see what happens. But like you said, Jimmy's always the one that strikes first on everybody. So it's extremely interesting that Jimmy struck Sammy, then struck Roman. And like you said, Jay probably would still be with Roman if it wasn't for Jimmy. So it's very interesting what they're doing with the storyline now. And I'm obviously not going to give up on it. Sean, to your point about saying it's bottom of the 7th for you, that's exactly what Heyman said in the press conference was, you're acting like it's the 7th inning right now. You need to pump the brakes. It's the
wow. It's funny because I actually didn't even see the interview yet. So that's wow.
That's what he said.
He said, you're acting like it's the 7th inning. You need to pump the brakes. So we'll see how much longer they go. But I mean,
I'll tell you, if it's
but
bottom of the 3rd, according to him, in order to get to the end of the ball game, it's going to be another 2 years, according to him.
2025.
Yeah, and there's no way. There's just not enough material. Now, obviously, maybe they could, but as far as like interest, a 5-year storyline is just too much, in my opinion.
There won't be the interest because they'll just rinse and repeat. The reason I think this match didn't hit for people is because now with the Jimmy turn, this is their way of dragging it out without Roman on the show. So how do we do it without Roman on the show?
I would have liked a clean finish. I'm not gonna lie. I think I don't know if we necessarily expected it to be a dirty finish. I don't think we really predicted the outcome, but I would have loved just a clean finish for Roman going over Jay. That's what it should have been.
It goes into Roman's character of he can't win without someone else.
Yeah.
So when we did our predictions, I actually predicted that Jimmy was going to screw Jay out of this match.
Yeah, I thought you did.
You were the only one.
Yep.
And sure enough, we got it because, just like Jeremy said, Roman has not gone really any matches without any assistance. And sure enough, you get it from his own family member that shortly before turned on him. Now, obviously, Jimmy's, in my opinion, to answer Jeremy's question of why I think the explanation is going to be, I think it's going to be similar to what Chris said of the jealousy. But I think they're going to play the injury angle. Well, they'll say, well, while you were demanding title matches with Roman, you could have visited me in the hospital, but you're out here benefiting, capitalizing, getting a title match against the tribal chief. And, this title, the tribal chief on the line. So if he were to somehow beat him and get crowned the new one, I think Jimmy's going to say, I can't allow that to happen. Something along those lines. As far as the actual match, I thought the match was fine, but yeah, I'm with you guys. The match is way too long. 36 minutes is too much, especially with like the pace that Roman and Jay, well, mostly Roman works at. Roman works at like a Randy Orton type pace. very methodical. In like the first 10 minutes, there wasn't really much going on. And I thought Jay, to a degree, kind of under-delivered. I still thought the match was good. I'm not going to say it was a bad match. But for Jay's expectations, I basically see more out of Jay on a SmackDown main event. Now, I think that's portion of it is basically because of the fact that the SmackDown main events are like 12, 15 minutes tops. And I think this match should have been somewhere between like 18 to 23 minutes or so because of the fact that, it was a long SummerSlam card as is. Another thing I want to point out, I'm not sure if you guys noticed this, and this is trending through Twitter a lot. WWE broke their own rules again. So the tribal combat match, the rules were there was no interference allowed until after the match.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, you had Jimmy go in there, interfere. You had Solo Sikoa jump in the mix. So they did it with the draft. They're doing it in their matches. So I didn't like that. I thought Roman should have won clean here. I thought this should have been actually a Jon Moxley type match where there should have been blood. It should have been one of Roman's toughest matches where Jay should have gone a lot more offense and Roman going through the trenches to finally get it done and prove that he's the baddest man in the world and the tribal chief of the family. And we didn't get it that way, but I thought the match was still decent for what they did. It basically went how I thought it was going to go, and the expectations pretty much stayed the same because I was not expecting a Cody versus Roman type match because I love Jay, but Jay's just not – he's not Cody Rhodes, and I don't even think he's better than Sami Zayn as a wrestler. So that's what I have to say about that.
So the Sami Zayn was 32 minutes, and the Cody match was 34 minutes, and this match was 36 minutes.
Wow. Something for me that kind of solidifies for me now that just personally, that I don't think Jay maybe deserves that championship anymore is when Sammy lost, I think we were all a little deflated and maybe a little let down. And when Cody lost, I think we all felt the same way. Again, the entire city of LA was a little deflated. Jay losing, I don't care.
I don't either.
I don't care. Yeah.
I would have been mad if he won.
I think what's interesting here is, this was the point I was going to make before you said that, Chris, was coming out of this match. I think there's more irritation than excitement with what's going on right now, which is not what I thought was going to happen coming out of this match. I thought it was going to be a good match, and listen, I knew Roman was going over, and I thought that was fine. But I think there's a collective irritation that now, they forwarded the storyline, but it's not necessarily exactly what I thought they had in mind. And like I said, I really did not like the comment that it's the bottom of the third inning because, listen, as great as the storyline is, if you're telling me this is going another year and a half, I think that's shit, and there's just no reason for it. And
I don't think it will.
I just think that it's just too much at that point. So
I think it should end.
If he's talking about, listen, Roman's going to go away after losing the title to Cody, and then they revisit the Bloodline situation with a Bloodline 2.0 having his two other cousins come into WWE, and that's what he's talking about, great. I'll shut the fuck up and not care. Like, he'll go away for a while, and that's fine. But if you're talking about this iteration of the Bloodline being way not close to finish, I think it's a little bit of horseshit talk from Paul.
And also, if say they do go Bloodline 2.0, what are they really going to do that we haven't already seen? They're going to do rinse and repeat. They're going to do what Jimmy and Jay was to Roman with, Roman's two other cousins that are going to be on the come up. It's going to be this. Now, obviously, WWE has proven me wrong over these past 3 years. I did not think this storyline would go 3 years, so I could be dead wrong on this. But I'm just looking at it from a storyline perspective. What are they going to do that's going to interest me more than what they did with Jimmy and Jay? Because Jimmy and Jay are the most popular tag team in the world, even more than the Young Bucks. Now, I think the Young Bucks are better than them in ring, but as far as an overall totality, the Usos trump the Young Bucks. And I'm just thinking, if you have Roman's cousins come in there, what storyline? Roman's going to have to really carry the burden to make it interesting, to bring the audience to be captivated by, Bloodline 2.0. I also want to say this about Roman Reigns. We talk about how Roman has not won really any matches without assistance. I think starting with Survivor Series, if the reports are true that his next appearance will be Survivor Series, even though they're saying he can miss that. But
He's
I
not
think
even on Survivor Series right now.
yeah, but I think he will make that card. I think he'll miss Fastlane and Payback. So let's say starting with Survivor Series. I think Survivor Series all the way up to WrestleMania, I think he needs to go in there and demolish everybody in front of him, and I think he needs to do it clean. No interference. He needs to come into WrestleMania against Cody as strong as possible. And I think we need the fatal four-way match with Solo and the Usos. And I
At
think
Rumble,
Roman
maybe.
at the Rumble, and I think Roman needs to pin Solo. I want to see Roman pin Solo Sikoa. He's the guy that is the quote unquote the powerhouse, the bodyguard to Roman Reigns. What statement would it be for Roman Reigns to go into that match, pin him?
I think he needs
They
to
can.
stack them all.
I would love to see that even more, and then go into WrestleMania, and then Cody getting the clean victory because, like you said, Jeremy, at this rate, since they pulled the trigger on Jimmy Turn on Jay early, it only makes sense for no interference for even playing field for Cody and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and Cody getting a clean victory. Brock just got the stamp of approval that he gave to Cody with the handshake, the hug, and raising his hand. Clearly, WWE has their next guy for the World Championship, and that's the direction I think they should go.
I don't think that Roman's gonna win clean at all until he
Bro,
loses the title. I just don't because then
I don't either.
Cody can't use the you haven't won clean because you have the bloodline to back you up. If he wins clean, that statement kind of goes out the door. So I think if he wins dirty up to Mania, and then Cody, can use that against him and say you don't have anybody anymore, even though like technically Heyman could help Roman beat the other three if they do
That's
the
true.
fatal four way, and he could still win dirty.
That's true.
yeah, what he could do also, he could use the Brock Lesnar bet. Cody be like, well, you beat Brock with interference. Look at last year's SummerSlam. I beat Brock clean twice.
Yeah.
So they could probably use that angle, but it's going to be interesting how they play it out. I'll say this, though. If Cody beats Roman and there is interference, that's going to make Cody look extremely weak. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think Cody needs to win clean at WrestleMania.
Yep.
Rightfully so, and I think he will. The
Yep.
trajectory is there, folks. This is a very good card altogether. Like I said, probably an 8.5 out of 10 for me. A solid B plus show. There's really not much to waiter down on, but we appreciate you. We'll be back this week. I think our second episode may be later in the week and towards the weekend. But stay tuned for that. We may be doing our pick live for. We'll probably spin that wheel next episode to do our monthly flashback pay per view. I think would be a good thing to do next episode, and we'll talk about what else we're gonna do for that episode when we get there. So we appreciate you. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. Hopefully you enjoyed SummerSlam as much as we did, and we look forward to the next one.